Bat and Ball Cricket. Thanks for checking in for episode number 9 leading into the 2018-19 Australian summer. Today we're looking at the New Balance CK10 version 3, and there's an update of the colour scheme this year, guys. Guys, first up, the New Balance CK10 has been a shoe that's been on the Australian market for a number of years now. Last summer, the shoe went through a complete overhaul and came to the Cactus version, is what New Balance were calling the colour scheme. I'll put a copy of that guy up there. And it was a completely redesign of the shoe, which was bringing some revolutionary kind of materials and a thought pattern around the shoe to market. This year the shoe is an identical make with an updated colour scheme. Alright, starting at the top of the shoe, guys, the thing that I mentioned about this shoe is it is about bringing some revolutionary technology to market. So this guy is actually a mesh shoe rather than being a leather or a synthetic material or a synthetic leather shoe. I'm going to bring him right up to the camera here, and hopefully you can zoom in on there. The shoe is actually a offset, or 2 layers of offset mesh, which means it is highly breathable, and in comparison to other cricket shoes, it is very, very light. Now, this is designed as a batsman's shoe or a slow bowler's shoe. And the reason for that is the usual stability pieces that you get through the shoe to hold your foot nice and tight while you're bowling quick is not in the shoe. And so it is light, and because it's light, it doesn't have those particular features. However, having said that, when you do have the mesh, it does have some sections that are reinforced over the top to give the shoe some stability. Now, the mesh is very, very breathable and very, very light. The shoe comes out at 381 grams, and that's with me setting it up as a half spike. In comparison, I have my old New Balance 4030 that I used to use as a batting shoe. I do have that guy fully spiked up, but once you take out the difference between the weight between metal studs, these guys come in at 401 grams. 20 grams is the difference per shoe. It doesn't sound like a lot, but in spending a long time either in the field or spending a lot of time running between the wickets and making runs, those 20 grams add up over the course of a day's play. So the weight reduction piece is quite good. Towards the back of the shoe, in the back section here, which is this kind of blue fading colour, it does have a good stability piece here. So what that allows you to do is to get the laces reasonably nice and tight at the front, and that locks your heel in. It is recommended for the batsman or slow bowling all-rounder. However, one of my very good cricketing mates has the Cactus version of this shoe, which he bowls medium pace in without any problems so far to date. Guys, the shoe does have have an individual tongue. I know some shoes are now moving to more like a sock type fit. This still has a separate tongue, and what I'm pleased to say is that it's got firm laces. New Balance have moved to more of an elastic lace on their running shoes or their training shoes, which I personally don't like. For those of us that actually need to have our shoes fairly firm, it makes them quite difficult to actually get a good comfy fit when it comes to their training shoes. Right, guys, flipping over to the actual sole of the shoe. Like I said, I'm going to be using these for batting, so I've got them set up in a half spike configuration. So that's 7 metal spikes at the top and 4 conversion studs at the bottom. If you're seeing these conversion studs and thinking they look a little bit different, that's because I've been using the Champ Scorpion Striker studs. I've got a review on the channel as well. Check that out if you're interested in these guys. I like them much better than the standard conversion studs. So 7/4 configuration, and it is quite flat across the shoe as well. There's not a lot of difference in the height, and that's one of the things New Balance have been using in the development of their shoes. One of the pieces that I've heard of being criticism, that there is no center spike at towards the toe of the shoe here. So if you look at that in comparison to the Asics configuration, you can see that Asics actually has the spike here right in the center. That's been linked with a criticism of this shoe for those that use that kind of toe to scratch center. I have always scratched center with this spike. This is the left shoe, which I don't use. I'll use the right shoe, but it's that spike that I've always scratched center with throughout my entire career playing on turf pitches. So guys, the sizing of these shoes are they only come in a D width, which is the standard width. And I've got these guys in a 10.5 US or a 10 in the UK, which their fit means that they're pretty much standard. That's the same fit as my running shoes, as my normal joggers. So their fit is pretty much true. I actually like the fact that these are a standard fit. I have been wearing the wider fit shoes for the last couple of years, and I feel that the wider fit is just ever so slightly too wide for my feet. So I like that these guys have been released in a standard fit. Guys, the next piece to talk about is a rating out of 10. The areas that I look for are design and functionality, build and material quality, and the third thing I look for is any customizations. Alright, so going around this shoe, the actual design, I really like the thought pattern behind the lighter weight materials to get a little bit of that weight back into the player's advantage. The other piece that I quite like about these shoes is the extra dimpling around the side, which I hadn't really mentioned, and I like the fact that they have quite a flat actual sole to the shoe, because it means you actually get a pretty comfy ride in these guys. The next piece is in regards to the build and material quality. Well, it's generally the piece that I look for is any places where you've got any stitching out of place in and around the lacing holes, any glue that might have escaped around where the actual upper part of the shoe joins the sole, and generally how well the actual spikes are embedded into the sole of the shoe. Have to say, no criticisms there at all. And the final piece here is around the customizations. I have gone and put in the Champ Golf conversion studs. I'm not really being particularly critical of these shoes, guys, because of that. That's a personal preference piece. You could take them out and use them without anything in there at all, or you could use them with the standard ones that do come with Cricket shoes. So guys, for me, it's very much a 9 out of 10 for me. Just that small piece. What I'd really like to see New Balance do is move to a higher quality conversion stud. Asics have done that in the last couple of years. They've moved to more of a wider spread and giving you more contact points on the shoe. I'd really like to see New Balance do the same thing, and that would make these shoes pretty much perfect. Guys, in regards to pricing, these are a new shoe, so you can't really get them on sale. The recommended retail price of these, if you check out the New Balance store or the New Balance website here in Australia, are $200 Australian. I am a member of one of my local cricket retailers, and so they do a little bit below the recommended retail price at $185. Guys, these are coming up to being close to the best batting shoe on the market, but they're not the most expensive shoe on the market, so you're well and truly getting a good value for money in these guys. So guys in the English team like Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow are wearing these versions at the moment in the Indian series. Of course, they're wearing the Cactus version, and Australian players like Tim Paine, Aaron Finch are using this particular shoe. Basically, Asics were the premier shoe in the Australian, particularly in the professional Australian market, for a long period of time, and New Balance are absolutely starting to storm through with a number of players that are using these particular shoes. So guys, that concludes my review of the New Balance CK10 version 3 shoes. Guys, as always with any of my review videos, if you do have any questions or any comments, please don't hesitate in dropping those down into the comment section below, and I will endeavour to answer those as soon as I can. Guys, one piece from me: if you are a long time watcher of Bat and Ball Cricket but not a subscriber, get in and hit that subscribe button. I get quite a thrill from finding out that another cricket tragic or cricket fanatic, whichever you might be, has subscribed to my channel and enjoys the content that I do put out. Right guys, this was episode number 9 of the lead up to the Australian summer for 2018-19. Still a whole swathe of videos to come over the coming weeks leading up to the start of summer. So guys, this is Clinton from Bat and Ball Cricket, and we'll catch you again really soon. Bye for now.